Hi cyberspace, it's time for another book review, and I know the last one was kind of like a vlog post, book review, movie review, all kind of squished into one, but this is just going to be a book review. I know the last one was about an adult book, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and have you started reading it? Do you like it yet? and, but this one is going to be about a kid's book, because I found myself in the past couple months, I've been reading nothing but children's literature, and I know part of it is because my mom is the kids lead at our local Barnes and Nobles, so she has to read all these kids books for her job, and I've kind of been reading kids books with her so that she has someone to discuss them with. But also part of it is just I think some kids books are written way better than some adult books. I mean, obviously not all of them. There are adult books that are extremely good, obviously. I mean, I just lauded The Name of the Wind to you incredibly much. So, obviously there are adult books that are very good, but I think personally there are a bunch of kids books that are so incredibly good and that adults can get just as much enjoyment out of them as kids do. And one of those is this book, Reckless by Cornelia Funke, which is her newest book. I love all her old books. The Thief Lord is on my all-time favorites shelf. The Inkheart trilogy is amazing and is full of amazing characters who I love. And I do recall liking Dragon Rider when I read it a really long time ago, but it's been a while since I've read it, so I'm not sure on the details. But this book, Reckless, is so good, and it's the first in what I think I read somewhere it's going to be a trilogy. I think there's going to be two more. So obviously, it doesn't end. There's going to be another quest, but this one on its own is extremely well written, and it's full of very good characters, and it's amazing. It's about Jacob Reckless and his little brother Will, and when they're kids, Jacob finds a mirror in his father's study. And he goes through the mirror and he finds this other world on the other side of the mirror. And it's this darker world where fairy tales come to life. And they're not, all the good, happy fairy tales. Like bad things happen in these fairy tales. It's the fairy tales of Sleeping Beauty, but the prince never woke her up and she withered in her sleep and died. It's like these depressing sort of twists on the fairy tales where you're in this world where they've come to life, yes, but not in the way that the stories make them seem. So it's this new dark world that Jacob lives in for all these years because he's trying to find his father, who he thinks is on the other side of the mirror, and he's trying to avoid his mother, and he doesn't, he's trying to avoid all his problems at home by living in this world behind the mirror. And one day, many years after Will has been living in this world forever, with only visits home, Will follows him through. And then Jacob has to look after Will again. And Will ends up getting wounded and infected by these people called, they're these really, really interesting people called the Goyle, the Goyl. And they have stone for skin, and there's this one that they wound Will, and then his skin starts turning to stone. So the whole book is Jacob's quest to 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 cure Will, to find the way to stop Will's skin turning to stone and to stop Will from becoming this inhuman, very angry, very violent thing, I guess. And it's this sort of juxtaposition because Will is the peaceful, calm, loving brother who, he's got a girlfriend, and Clara is an awesome character. Clara comes on the quest too, and it's like Will is this calm, little, peaceful young man, and Jacob is always the angry one, the adventurous one, but it's Will who's turning into this angry, violent thing. And it's this really interesting book about, like there's a whole underlying plot about the relationship between the brothers and how, you know, Jacob has had to, Jacob thinks that he's been looking after Will for his whole life, when in fact, he's been inside the mirror and Will's been looking after himself and been looking after their mother. And, it's this really interesting as Jacob is realizing that he really doesn't you know, he has been looking after Will all his life, but at the same time he really hasn't, and Jacob has to kind of come to terms with that. And I mean I love Will. Will is a really good character, but Jacob I think is my favorite, because he's so strong, but at the same time, just, you know, Will turning on him and becoming this, not monster, but this inhuman thing can just totally tear him down. And you know, it's really sad, how Jacob he has those two parts of him. So um, I'm a huge fan of Jacob, and I can't wait for the next one, in which Jacob has to go on another quest for another cure. But I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to give away the ending. But it's a really, really good book, and you should really look into reading it because it is amazing, even if you are an adult, and it is a kid's book. And I wouldn't actually say it's a kid's book. I would put it under teen because it is very dark and people do die in very gruesome ways, and you know, it's not all the happy fairy tales that you would expect. So I would definitely say it's a teen book, and I would definitely say that even that no matter how old you are, you should probably be about 13 before you start reading it. But you could be any age after 13 and read it and enjoy it and love it. And I mean, the book itself, I would suggest actually buying it because it is a beautiful book. I mean, Cornelia Funke does all her own illustrations, and each chapter at the beginning of the chapter has a full page illustration that is absolutely gorgeous. So, I would suggest you buy this book and look at the absolutely gorgeous pictures, and then you read it because there's amazing characters and an amazing plot, and it's a really, really good read. So, that's another book review done, and I'll see you on Wednesday like always, and have a good week. Bye!